In part 1, we saw the political system crack under the weight of slavery. But the final break wasn't just about arguments in the Senate. It was about land and money. The chaotic acquisition of new territory, combined with the deep economic entanglement of the North and South, made the Civil War inevitable. Welcome back to the story of how the quest for manifest destiny was fueled by profits from slavery, and how a nation's Supreme Court legalized the crisis. If you're ready to dig into the roots of the conflict, the factories, the fields, and the bizarre battles over hogs and honey, hit the like button and subscribe. By 1860, the North and South were truly two worlds. The North was industrial and urban, favoring high tariffs, or protectionism, and relying on free labor. The South was agrarian and rural, opposed to tariffs, or free trade, and relied entirely on enslaved labor. The completion of the Erie Canal in 1825 had already reoriented Western trade toward New York, economically isolating the South. South Carolina Senator James Henry Hammond defended slavery using the mudsill theory. He argued that every society needs a permanent lower class, a mudsill, to do the drudgery so the upper class can progress. He outrageously claimed the South's mudsill, the enslaved people, were better off than the North's wage slaves. This system was enabled by deep Northern complicity. Cottonwigs were Northern textile mill owners, like those in Lowell, Massachusetts, who were economically married to Southern plantations. These Northern factories produced a coarse fabric used to clothe enslaved people, creating a closed loop of profit. Even famous clothiers like Brooks Brothers produced livery, uniforms, for enslaved servants in the South and actively pursued unpaid bills from planters. Furthermore, Northern financial institutions protected this system. Companies like New York Life and Aetna sold insurance policies on the lives of enslaved people to shield owners' financial interests. All the economic and political compromise shattered in 1857 with the Dred Scott Decision. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, described by observers as looking like a galvanized corpse, issued a ruling that shattered the legal landscape. The ruling delivered three devastating blows. First, it declared that black people could never be citizens. Second, it ruled that Congress had no power to ban slavery in territories, effectively declaring the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional. And third, it essentially legalized slavery everywhere. The crushing irony is that Dred Scott was manumitted, freed, shortly after the case, but died of tuberculosis 18 months later. While the Supreme Court was lighting the fuse, the U.S. was busy expanding, creating bizarre situations everywhere. The annexation of Texas in 1845 was delayed for a decade due to slavery concerns. To force the issue, President Sam Houston played a poker game, feigning interest in becoming a British protectorate to scare the U.S. into annexation. The annexation ceremony itself seemed cursed. When the flag of the Texas Republic was lowered for the last time, the flagpole snapped in half. But the weirdness didn't stop there. In a dispute over where the capital should be, Austin innkeeper Angelina Eberly fired a cannon at Texas Rangers who were attempting to steal the National Archives, effectively saving Austin as the capital. Even the Gadsden Purchase in 1854, where the U.S. bought desert land for a southern railroad route, was complicated. The purchase was needed because of a map error in a previous treaty. The treaty was negotiated with Mexican President Santa Anna, whose prosthetic leg had been captured and eaten, though they only ate the chicken he was having for lunch, not the leg itself, by Illinois soldiers in 1847. The California Gold Rush caused California to bypass the territorial phase entirely due to a population explosion. Ironically, its state constitution banned slavery not for moral reasons, but because white miners didn't want to compete with slave labor. With all this new land, the U.S. suddenly had bizarre, small-scale wars breaking out over the strangest things. In the Toledo War of 1835, Michigan and Ohio militias faced off over a strip of land. Congress gave the land to Ohio, but gave Michigan the worthless Upper Peninsula as a consolation prize, which turned out to be full of copper. Then there was the Honey War of 1839. Iowa and Missouri nearly fought after a tax collector cut down 3 valuable bee trees. Militias armed themselves with the most fearsome weapons they could find: pitchforks and broomsticks. Finally, in the Pig War of 1859, an American farmer on San Juan Island shot a British pig eating his potatoes. This escalated into a tense standoff between the U.S. Army and British warships. The pig, of course, was the only casualty. The Dred Scott Decision proved that all the compromise and border deals meant nothing. The financial dependence of the North on Southern cotton, combined with the legal validation of slavery across the continent, ensured that the question of territory could no longer be debated. It could only be fought. In our next video, we dive into the human side of the conflict, the courage and ingenuity of the resistance on the Underground Railroad, the powerful reform movements, and the incredible post-presidential career of John Quincy Adams. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss Part 3, The Human Spirit. Which of the bizarre border wars, the Honey War, the Pig War, or the Toledo War, do you think was the closest the US came to fighting over something ridiculous? Tell us why in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.